Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Gumbel. Welcome to Inside College Basketball, presented by Progressive Insurance. We are one day from Selection Sunday, and over the next 30 hours, this might be the most closely watched room in the country. The NCAA Selection Committee evaluating candidates from every conference, piecing together the puzzle that is the 68-team tournament field. As for what's on tap today, Clark Kellogg.
Thank you very much, Greg. We start our day in the Big Ten. An outstanding matchup between Michigan State and Wisconsin. Michigan State playing as well as anybody in the country. Wisconsin needs to complement the inside play of Happ with perimeter shooting. In our second matchup, Michigan trying to win its third straight Big Ten championship. If they do, it will be because they combine great defense with three-point shooting. And my partner, Seth, you're going to bring us to the championship game that takes us home.
All eyes on the Mountain West Conference, especially if you are a bubble team. Nervous enough being on the bubble, but we've got a dream stealer in the house. San Diego State finished fourth in the Mountain West during the regular season, but they upset top-seeded Nevada, which means they are alive for the automatic bid to the NCAA tournament, which would mean one less spot for a bubble team. So much to talk about over the next hour. Let's get it going.
Here we go. Does it get any better than this?
Spectacular! You better believe it!
68 teams will be selected tomorrow, all with one goal in mind, a trip to Minneapolis to cut down the nets and raise that trophy. Joining me, as always, Clark Kellogg and Seth Davis. I don't know what it feels like to you, but to me, it feels like this can be as wide open an NCAA tournament as we've seen in a long time.
Well, we've been saying that for a number of years, and it's really actually true. There have only been a handful of cases where we've actually said a team was the favorite from start to finish of a season. I think back to 2008 with Kansas and Memphis. I think about 2009 with Carolina, 2012 with Kentucky. But most of the time over the last 20 years, it has been relatively wide open, no different this season.
30 hours from now at this very desk when you start to reveal the bracket, Greg. And I always think about these bubble teams and their coaches and the players, all the hard work, preseason conditioning, the practices, the games. They have no control over what's going to happen, both with the Dream Stealers in the remaining conference tournaments and, most importantly, what's happening down the street.
But also championships on the line. I think sometimes we overlook that. These players want to be able to grab a trophy, and there are a lot of teams that have that opportunity in the next 2 days.
You bet. Time now to get you caught up on last night's nonstop conference tournament action. Can Zion Williamson play the game?
Oh, my goodness, boy, what a game and what a performance by this young man. Duke getting it done because of this man. Look at the quickness on the miss, up and down before anybody else could get to that orange. And then Kobe White with a chance to win it for Carolina. No go. Roy Williams talked about the superpowers of Zion.
The guy that's been hurt came back and put on his Superman jersey again and was incredible. It's such a blend of strength and power and quickness that we couldn't stop him getting the basketball inside.
It was a great game. Vintage, ACC, Duke, Carolina. You know, both teams played so hard and well.
And as my partner alluded, the Michigan Wolverines have a chance to advance to the Big Ten championship game by virtue of their blowout win over Iowa last night. Iggy Brazdeikis led the way for Michigan.
This one got rough and tumble here. Seton Hall and Marquette. Miles Powell gets to the hoop, fouled hard, and then all heck broke loose. A couple of players were ejected. The second half scuffle, a stain on the game for how it unfolded. Players leaving the court, emotions high. Marcus Howard down the stretch with a chance to win it for Marquette, doesn't go. And then Kevin Willard had comments afterwards.
It was an emotional game. It's Friday night in the Garden, Big East tournament. Both teams were played extremely hard. Emotions were running.
Over in the Big 12, West Virginia tried to steal someone else's dream, couldn't quite get over the Kansas Jayhawks, who advance in that tournament.
You talked about bid stealers or dream takers. Nevada, this is Cody Martin knocking it down. And Devin Watson, big bucket there, and he talks about it after.
We just don't give up. We just know how to win. In the end, we know the big moments, and we got guys who can make big shots and get big stops, and that's what we did tonight.
Over in the SEC for Tennessee, Admiral Schofield hates rims. Look at the elevation and the finish. And won. He had 20 points and 7 rebounds. Admiral Schofield also hates losing, and Tennessee has not done much of it this year. One of their big losses was at Kentucky. They returned the favor at home against the Wildcats, and the rubber match will take place later today. Don't you love this month?
Wichita State trying to grab a bid from somebody. Marcus McDuffie inside, up and down. And Dexter Dennis going to throw it down. But they were beating Temple here, folks. And this is Fran Dunphy's last season on the sidelines for the Owls. Will we see him in the NCAA tournament? I think so.
Meanwhile, last night, in case you missed it, Oregon and Arizona State went to overtime on Friday night. 79-75, the Ducks improved to 22-12 and eliminate the second seed out west in the Pac-12. Here's a look at the teams that have punched their tickets thus far. Colgate, St. Mary's, North Dakota State, Fairleigh Dickinson. Who in there surprises you?
Well, there are a couple, actually a few, but I take a look at Bradley. They won the 3 tournament games in the Missouri Valley Conference by a total of 8 points. Came from 18 down in the championship game to beat Northern Iowa. This is a very resilient, confident group, solid defensively, and playing its best basketball at the right time of the season. But how about St. Mary's as well? There you see the ticket punched by the Bradley Braves. Congratulations to Bradley, but St. Mary's holding teams in the last 8 games to 55 points a game. Held Gonzaga to a season low, Greg, 47, because it was excellent scouting report. Defense sustained that effort and then made the shots they needed at key times. Jordan Ford, Malik Fitz, 2 outstanding scores for the Gales.
And, of course, the big question, did that cost Gonzaga a 1 seed? You know, out of the Summit League the last 2 years, South Dakota State and Mike Dowd have come out of that conference, one of the great mid-major players in America. They got upset in the quarterfinal of the Summit. That left it open. And the Bison, not the Bisons, the Bison somehow is singular.
Well done,
plural.
Steph. Well done.
They tied for 3rd during the regular season, but they ended up winning the Summit League Conference Championship, scanning their ticket, as Clark likes to say, into the dance. They probably end up on the 15-16 line, but getting hot this time of year can be pretty dangerous, so whoever plays them better be ready.
Okay, the last 4 in, first 4 out. Our very own bracketologist, Jerry Palm, just rolled through the atmosphere just a few moments ago. Look who he has. Last 4 in, TCU, St. John's, Arizona State, UNC Greensboro, and his first 4 out, Creighton, Furman, Belmont, and NC State. Where do you like him? Where do you?
Boy, I tell you what, I like the fact that UNC Greensboro is on Jerry Palm's last 4 in. That's an outstanding basketball team. We'd love to see Belmont find a way there, but no issue. I think these are teams that clearly are in that window of being in or out on those last 4.
Yeah, if you played yourself onto the bubble, no right to complain. But of course, you're going to complain anybody. So look, what Jerry does is try to predict what the committee's going to do.
That's right.
This is what the flawed reasoning of Seth Davis would do should he be on the committee. You notice I have Belmont in. I also have Greensboro. Temple I have out. NC State has the worst non-conference strength of schedule ranking in the country.
Oh.
Now, the only person, this is not going to happen, but Texas, their leading scorer, Kerwin Roach, missed 5 games down the stretch. They went 1-4. They have great wins for a bubble team. North Carolina, Purdue, they won at Kansas State. They beat Kansas
Look a lot
at home.
like Oklahoma State last year to me.
I think their wins are a little bit better. The overall 500 record is going to be hard for them to overcome. I'd be surprised if they're in. I have them as my last team in because I am an iconoclast.
So you won't be all that surprised. A lot more still to come on Inside College Basketball, presented by Progressive Insurance. We'll preview both Big Ten semifinal matchups, a look at the historical impact of Zion Williamson. Also on the menu, a very special lunch with Jay Wright. Inside College Basketball, presented by Progressive Insurance, is sponsored by Progressive. Get slam dunk savings today. Visit progressive.com. And by Jersey Mike's Subs. Be a sub above.
The half slams it down. Davison sticks it. Tries for 3, right side. It's good. Quaid, splash. Winston just glides in for the 2.
And there is Cassius Winston, Big Ten Player of the Year, top scorer for the Michigan State Spartans. He has scored in double figures in all but 2 games this season. The junior guard also dishing out 7.5 assists per game. Michigan State will take on Wisconsin in our first semifinal in the Big Ten semis. Tracy Wolfson caught up with Wisconsin head coach Greg Gard a short while ago.
Coach, you played this Michigan State team earlier in the season. It was a loss, but watching that tape, especially coming into this game, what adjustments do you need to make coming into today?
Well, I think we need to be better in all the areas. You know, we gave up some offensive rebounds at key times. We gave up some transition baskets at key times in the first half that kind of put them back in control of the game. And it seesawed back and forth into the last minute or so. And then Goins hit a big shot to make it a 2-possession game. So we're going to have to be solid in all areas. I don't think anything really changes. We're just going to be better at what we do.
Ethan Happ, 20 points, I think 12 boards in that first one. But yesterday he had 4 points, 7 turnovers. What do you need to see from him today to be successful?
Well, just stay within himself and not try to get out of the box, so to speak, and try to overcreate. And hopefully it was the first game in here. Obviously the sloppiness sometimes happens when you see teams come in for the first time, especially against a team that's already played. So hopefully that's flushed out of his system and flushed out of our system, because he wasn't the only one. And we'll have to be much, much better today.
Appreciate the time. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Tracy.
Tracy, thank you. There are certain things that are just rock-solid staples this time of year, and one of them is a Wisconsin team that's always going to be around and always is going to make its presence known in the tournament and be a problem for the opposition.
Without question, and a big part of that is because they're solid in who they are and what they do. They defend at a high level. The key today is going to be they've got to corral Cassius Winston. As you heard Greg Gard talk about there, we just have to be better in all areas. One of them is corralling him. The other is on the defensive backboard. And then they've got to find perimeter shooting at the right time so they don't hit droughts during the game, so that they can complement what Happ is able to do. He struggled yesterday, but very good players rarely play 2 back-to-back poor games. I'm looking for a big game from Happ today.
By the way, I like the way he says, all you have to do is corral Cassius.
I'd like to get one of those foam rolls that I saw the Michigan State guys have right here, since we're going to be here all day.
You get your paces in here in the studio. You talk about defending Ethan Happ. Now, for Michigan State, getting Nick Ward back is huge. They got him back for their win over Ohio State. I don't know if this is the best job Tom Izzo's ever done.
I'd venture to say it's up there.
It's up there, or just another great coaching job by Tom Izzo. The way he's been able to keep this team together. How about young Foster Lawyer, the freshman, coming off the bench yesterday, a season-high 14 points in the Big Ten tournament, only had 1 other double-figure scoring game this season. That is the culture of Michigan State basketball, and that is why they are so successful this time of year. But getting Nick Ward back, he played 14 minutes in their win yesterday over Ohio State. That's a huge factor, not only today in defending Ethan Happ, but moving forward the next couple of weeks.
All right, Seth, how big was the tremor last night in the Big Ten with Minnesota and Purdue?
Well, I think Minnesota probably was going to get an at-large bid anyway, but why even make it a mystery? Because this game ended the mystery with this win over Purdue. Jordan Murphy, one of the great players people don't know a whole lot about, led all scorers to 27. Amir Coffey has a 6'8" point guard. He was 7 for 13 from the floor. I do like Purdue. Matt Harms has been evolving in the front, but another struggling night for Carson Edwards there, missing a 3-pointer with 3 seconds remaining. He was 1 for 8 from 3-point range. That's a concern for me for Purdue moving forward. But Minnesota, if there was a doubt, there is no longer a doubt. They are in the NCAA tournament. It's just a question of where they are seated.
Yeah, here's a question about the Big Ten. Last year, the conference sent just 4 teams to the tournament. How many do they send this year?
I say we've got 8 that are solidly in the field. I think you're going to probably have a double-digit seed there, perhaps with Ohio State, Minnesota possibly. But I think those 8 right there are pretty rock solid from how I look at it. But I will defer to my bracketologist momentarily. And Michigan State, I want to go back to Tom Izzo.
Yeah.
Because I think this has been just an outstanding job. You know, he's had different guys out of the lineup. You lose Josh Langford for most of the season. You're starting 2 guard, probably best perimeter defender. Arns and Ward are out for different times. Mac McQuaid missed some games. And this team, just to your point, culture and being able to plug guys into their roles has been outstanding. Kudos to the Spartans. They've been terrific.
So I'm a mid-major bracketologist. I'm the Belmont of bracketology here. So
self-proclaimed, I might add.
I've got 7.9 teams in the tournament. Ohio State, maybe a little bit of a mystery, but they lost 3 games without the leading scorer in Caleb Weston. Indiana is an interesting case because they have quality wins, a lot of losses, 2 and 6 against Quadrant 2. I don't think they get in, but if there's going to be a surprise tomorrow, that will create a lot
Nebraska. How did you throw? How did Nebraska make?
Well, my bubble is kind of a wide net. Look, they had an injury to Isaac Cope.
Oh, no doubt.
Second
No
injury.
doubt.
The problem, though, is he's not coming back. Indiana's also had a lot of injuries. People aren't talking about that enough, and that's going to be a factor in the committee room. How many of those losses would they have incurred if they were at full strength?
At some point, you got to
Nebraska's
condense your bubble.
I know, I'm getting there. I got 30 hours. I got 30 hours. Leave me alone.
When Inside College Basketball, presented by Progressive Insurance, returns, dial M for March Madness. Murray State's main man and one of the most dynamic players in the nation, Ja Morant, and his coach, McMahon, join us next.
Ja Morant electrifies the crowd. Here's Morant through traffic. Ready runner is good. From Morant far side. 3 ball on the way. Good. Morant, he soars. He slams with a monster dunk for the Racers. Ja Morant. From Morant, elevates, lays it in. Back-to-back jacks. And this joint is jumping. And that's it. Zeros on the clock. And for the 17th time in school history, Murray State is going to the NCAA tournament. The Racers take the checkered flag.
Joining us now, fresh off that Ohio Valley Conference championship win and second straight NCAA tournament bid, the head coach of the Murray State Racers, Matt McMahon, and sophomore sensation Ja Morant. Gentlemen, thank you for taking the time. Coach, you did this a year ago. What was different this time around? Did you change anything? Did you learn anything from last year's experience?
We did. We made some changes there in February 1st with our lineup and our rotation and some defensive things, and the guys handled it really well. We were able to win 11 straight down the stretch and find a way to get back to the big dance.
Ja, I'd like to ask, because you were terrific as a freshman last year, but in the words of the young folks out there, you've kind of glowed up this year. So how has that been?
It's been good. I had to take a big step up. Really got a bigger role with the team, but really just trying to be the best leader I can be.
And then handling the exposure. I mean, obviously, you've been a highlight reel all season long. How have you managed to deal with that new level of scrutiny?
Besides cutting my notifications off, really my coaches and my teammates helped me with it a lot. They haven't looked at me any different since I came here, and it really just helped me.
Did he say he cut his notifications off?
Yes,
Can you do that? My phone won't let me do that. Coach, I want to ask you about some of your other personnel, because I watched your team this year, and you do have other players besides Ja Morant. Shaq Buchanan was your league's defensive player of the year, and also Tevin Brown is a great three-point shooter. Can you explain to us the role that those two guys play on the team and how important they're going to be as you move into the NCAA tournament?
Well, Seth, that's what's really helped us this season. We have great balance, 4 guys in double figures. Shaq's just a winner, 53 and 10 during his 2 years here with Ja. As you mentioned, defensive player of the year in the league, and he's been a great senior leader for us. And then Tevin gives us a three-point weapon behind the arc. He's made 84 threes. And then we've really had a lot of development from Darnell Cowart. 6'8.5". He was 315 pounds when he got here. He's 275 now, and since he went into the starting lineups, averaging 14 points, 9 rebounds a game, was all tournament, all newcomer team for us.
Hey, Ja, what we do around here in the studios, we sit around and we watch games and we watch people at other schools. I'm wondering if you get the time to do that, and if so, how much do you get to see other schools playing ball, and who impresses you around the league, around the country as we approach the tournament?
I really watch a lot of basketball, if it's from college or NBA. But I say a couple players who surprise me or I love watching is obviously Zion. Also, I like watching Carson Edwards. I feel like he's a great scorer, and Marcus Howard.
Coach McMahon, in terms of being able to have this be your second time going through this, how have you handled the week since you guys punched your ticket to now? Have you changed anything from last year to this year in terms of the week before you get ready to figure out where you're going to go and who you're going to play?
I think that's the challenging part, Clark, is we have a 12 or 13-day layoff, and we've been playing our best basketball with the 11-game winning streak. So just trying to find the right balance of keeping these guys healthy and fresh, but also sharp and competing. And so we've had a good week of practice. We're going to scrimmage some this afternoon with officials. and then we'll take tomorrow off and start preparation for whoever we draw.
Matt, everybody in the country has an opinion about who should be in the tournament, who shouldn't be. We're all bracketologists this time of year, so make the case for Belmont, your OVC runner-up, to getting an at-large.
Well, it was a great win for us in the championship. We had over 10,500 Murray State fans there in Evansville. And Belmont has a great team. Dylan Windler is one of the top players in all of college basketball, 6'8", two-guard. Coach Bird's won over 800 games. And when I look at all these bubble teams, not many of them have winning records in quad 1 and 2, and Belmont does. So I think they're very deserving of being in the tournament.
Hey, guys, it's a safe bet to assume that you'll be watching the selection show. We wish you all the best. We'll be watching, too, as the tournament gets underway. Good luck to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet. One conference championship game already underway. The America East UMBC shocked Virginia last year. They'll need to beat #1 seed Vermont for another shot at playing Cinderella.
Yes, they will. And Anthony Lamb going to try to make sure it does not happen. This guy has been fabulous all year long. Had 16 in the first half, 2 of them right there. And he does everything. But KJ Jackson for the Retrievers splashing that 3. 2 outstanding teams here, folks. And this has been a defensive battle most of the way until an explosion happened for the Catamounts, plus 14.
If you're UMBC, how do you follow up what you did last year?
Well, it's hard to do that, obviously. There's never going to be another first time.
Oh, don't say that, because you said there was never
going to be another first time, Greg. There's not going to be another first time.
You said there wouldn't be a first time.
I did, but I stand corrected, but there won't be another first time. I can tell you that for sure.
You see what I have to live with, by the way, with these two?
There won't be another first time.
Do I have to be the only reasonable guy in the room?
Yes, please do.
That's not saying much. One thing that I think did get lost last year with UMBC is the fact that they did not win their conference regular season. They upset Vermont in the conference tournament. Obviously, the Catamounts have revenge on their mind. They will be a tough out because they've won a lot of games the last couple of years. Winning is definitely a habit.
All right, gentlemen, still plenty to whet your appetite when Inside College Basketball, presented by Progressive Insurance, returns. John Rothstein breaks bread with Jay Wright and learns that 2 titles in 3 years has the defending champs hungrier than ever.
Yeah, man, this is a spot. Best chicken Caesar in the world, and also best cheesesteak and pizza. The wings are great here. I forgot to tell you that, too.
This isn't good for my diet.
This is more my favorite. You like the barbecue, I like the hot.
All right, we'll mix and match. We'll mix and match. You're not getting all those, though. You know that, right?
Time to get it started for the championship. DiVincenzo, bring it back down. Brunson steps up, fires a 3. Oh, my goodness. Monster dunk.
This kid is special.
DiVincenzo.
Early dagger. The biggest stage, the brightest lights.
The Nova Nation has another national championship.
A champion once again.
Oh, the defending national champs take on Seton Hall tonight in the Big East Championship game as we welcome in John Rothstein, who is developing quite a following among the culinary fans. Who you got this week?
Well, Greg, as you know, Villanova's had a major role in 2 of the last 3 NCAA tournaments, and I went down to the main line to find out what Jay Wright has on the menu for March.
Happy March.
Happy March to you. Welcome to Campus Corner, man.
We're happy to be here.
Yeah, man, this is a spot. Best chicken Caesar in the world, and also best cheesesteak and pizza. Got it all.
Wow, look at this.
Oh, it's the best. Ooh, and the wings are great here. I forgot to tell you that, too.
This isn't good for my diet.
This is a great spot for unofficial visits, man.
How big is this for recruits?
This is a big spot because it's on campus. There's always students in here, and it's rocking. And as you can see, it reeks Villanova basketball and Philadelphia sports. So
you really won the food lottery in coaching. I mean, UNLV, Hofstra, and Villanova. I mean, you're not going to have a bad meal in those places.
Exactly right.
Well, we got more.
With fried onions and Coach Wright's signature grilled chicken Caesar salad.
This is the best dressing in the world. I have this at my home. John gives it to me in big gallon jugs. I eat it all the time.
Look at this.
Coach, oh, yeah. And this is John. This is our man.
You're the man, Coach. We love you.
We love you too, buddy.
To the university since 1842.
How about that? Where does the challenge this year rank among the challenges that you've had, considering the lack of experience?
difficult but enjoyable. And really impressive what Phil Booth and Eric Pascal have been able to do. Their patience with the young guys early, their personal development, and then their coaching themselves of the younger guys has been really impressive.
Now, those two players are both fifth-year seniors.
Right.
Would you have been able to be in the situation you are right now if you didn't have two older men holding down that responsibility? You kind of aligned well that way.
As you know, we have what we call roster structure, and we talk with our guys and we talk with the NBA guys, like, which year is each guy going to come out?
It's not 18 months inside the cheesesteak.
You don't have to go to Philly. Right here on the main line. That's as good as any Philly cheesesteak you get. Cheesesteak. It is, isn't it?
The bread here, you can't replicate it. Oh, my God.
It's the Philadelphia water.
Yeah, so soft.
It is, man.
Keep going, though, about those fifth-year seniors. We got sidetracked.
Those two have won national championships. They've won Big East championships. They've won more games than anybody. And then to come in and to get beat up and embarrassed like we did and not fold, you know, and stay committed to the team. Just look at how fortunate we are to be in a place like Villanova where they look at it a little bit deeper than just whether you want a big game or not.
It's really philosophical right now, but I think you're going to say over a milkshake. I bet you don't remember the wins as much or the recruits you get as much as the times that you spend after those triumphs and accomplishments with your family and the people that, you know, went through it with you along the way.
Do you remember the feelings when you are watching a recruit play and your son or daughter is playing in a high school game back home and you're not there?
Is that tough? I mean, you have three kids. Is that tough?
It's brutal. It's the hardest thing about coaching. You have to be great at scheduling in your family time with your workload. And it's more important you schedule that time.
Yeah.
Because in the end, that's what's most important.
Wow.
Stromboli for you guys.
Oh, wow. Another one? I'm definitely going Stromboli.
How do you do practice if you eat like this? You're going to be on the floor?
Hey, I'm eating this much because I'm with you.
There's different layers to each season, just like there's different layers to any great meal. What is it like when you're done with your conference tournament, mentally and physically preparing your team for the NCAAs?
It's amazing whatever happens in your conference tournament, that once Selection Sunday comes, it erases all the emotion from that, good or bad. And usually it's bad. Mm-hmm. And you get a new life.
Interesting. Still haven't touched your salad.
This is going to be my dinner.
Good luck in the tournament.
Good mainline spot. Campus corner on Villanova's campus.
You got it. Thanks, Jack.
You got it, buddy. Good to be with you.
You recall, every time you see Jay Wright impeccably dressed, the picture of perfect health, did he eat very much of anything unhealthy?
No, I ate 80% of what was on that table. And the two words I think of after I see that piece, Atkins diet.
How well prepared is he for what's upcoming?
Really well prepared. And Clark, you and I were on the same team when Villanova played at the Garden against UConn in December, and his balance and perspective different this year because of what they lost.
Yeah, and I think he's really enjoyed it. I think coaches, like players, enjoy different situations and circumstances. It forces you to grow. It forces you to stay the course, and I think it forces you to be patient. He knows he's got a young team, but he's got good kids, good players, and he's got two outstanding leaders in Booth and Pascal, fifth-year guys that have been there before.
I'm wondering if he ever finished that salad. I mean, it probably, knowing Jay, it probably took him a few days.
He's taking it home to have it for dinner.
It takes him a couple of days to do that. You know, I'm old enough to remember when people were talking about, can Jay Wright get out of the first weekend? They had lost, you know, some early games in the tournament. And, you know, he went through a little bit of a downtick at Villanova. Never had to really worry about his job security, never had to cut corners, never had to compromise, had faith that he had the support of his administration to not only win, but to win a certain way. And that's the culture that I think is yielding right now, what we're saying.
Really good call.
Not enough schools have that kind of faith in their coaches to stand by them when they go through that downtick.
Big East is going to be real well represented in this tournament?
I think 4 teams right now look in good shape, but St. John's is the team to worry about. We saw the bubble take a different change with a different dynamic yesterday when San Diego State beat Nevada, and the Atlantic 10 tournament changed when VCU lost. That is the team in the Big East that I would be worried about today.
Yeah, I would agree with you wholeheartedly. I think the other 3, Seton Hall, Villanova, and obviously Marquette, are solidly in the field and have a chance to do damage in the tournament, in my estimation. St. John's is right there on the proverbial stoop, if you will.
Yeah, St. John's definitely one of those teams rooting very hard for Utah State today. And, you know, I don't think Xavier did enough to get into the tournament, but I want to compliment Travis Steele and his guys. The roster turnover and the coaching change, they lost a lot of games over the first few months of the season. They held it together. They made a great final push. Had they beaten Villanova, they would be very much in that bubble conversation. Probably not going to get there, but the fact that they came this close, I think, is a testament to the culture at Xavier that bore itself out over the course of the season.
How far in the NCAA tournament can this Villanova team get?
Well, again, it'll be contingent upon matchups, as it always is. When you're not at the very top, where you have more ways to win, then matchups become even more important. But you look at this Seton Hall team, much like Villanova, the dynamic player in Miles Powell that Seton Hall has is really one of the X factors you look for when you're talking about a team that could make a run. You need players to rise above their normal level, and it's always nice to have an all-conference, all-America caliber player that is not afraid of the moment, that can carry you, because that gives the other guys great confidence as you go through the one-and-done crucible of the tournament.
You making any late-night runs to the main line?
Not tonight, not tonight. We have a big night on CBS Sports Network, but more importantly, before that, lunch.
The Raiders of Colgate will be making their first tournament appearance since 1996. The Patriot League champs paying a visit when Inside College Basketball presented by Progressive Insurance returns.
Cover every angle of Selection Sunday after the field of 68 is revealed on NCAA March Madness Bracket Breakdown. Tomorrow at 7 on CBS Sports Network.
Burns buries it. The three is falling for Colgate. It's good. Ivan Alk is feeling it. Burns takes another three. Good! Raymond with a two-handed slam. Jordan Burns has a new career high. Jordan Burns talking to the crowd. And the Raiders have just bunched their ticket. Colgate men's basketball are romping and stomping their way to the NCAA tournament.
Welcome back, everyone. Joining us now, riding an 11-game winning streak to a Patriot League championship, the Colgate Raiders making their first NCAA tournament appearance in 23 years with head coach Matt Langel and sophomore guard Jordan Burns. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Coach, let me start with you and ask you about this 24 games won this season, that's school record, and the 11-game winning streak. Did you see all of this coming when the season began?
Now, when we started, we added a transfer in Raplis Evanauskis from Northwestern. I thought we had a talented group. We lost in the championship game last year, returned our leading scorers, and I thought we would have a chance, but we certainly grew up a lot over the course of the season. It's been a special one for sure.
You know, your enrollment is only 2,900. Your arena seats under 1,800 people. How do you feel when you go into these other places and there are massive numbers of people on hand cheering, and you guys have considerably less?
Yeah, we've recruited guys from across the country and even internationally, and so they've all come here because of their passion for the game, and they dream of playing on the biggest stages. So, you know, we're down the street from Syracuse, and when we go to the Dome, they live for those moments. So I'm really happy to coach this group of guys.
Jordan, congratulations on a terrific game in the championship game of the Patriot League, but I want to take you to the post game. Apparently, you had a special music request. Drake's God's Plan. Tell us a little bit about that story and why you stiff-armed that song throughout the year.
So basically what happened last year in the championship game at Bucknell, down about 30 points, Dana Batt had just got a technical foul. And during the time when the refs were going to the monitor and reviewing things, that song started to play and their whole arena started to sing it. I still remember Stephen Brown, you know, dancing on the court, looking directly at our bench, all of their players dancing and things like that. So, you know, it was a song I couldn't listen to for a long time because that was the only image I had in my mind.
So what's the image now, and do you have an anthem for this year's tournament for the Colgate Raiders?
Yes, sir. The anthem is still the same. We played God's Plan as soon as we got in the locker room. You know, it took that song back, you know, so we can listen to it now.
All right, well done.
I can actually sing a lot of that song because I got young kids, but I'll spare Jordan.
Please, thank you, Seth.
But, you know, Clark just skipped over your performance of the game. Career high, 35 points, 6 for 9 from three-point range. What got into you in that game? And most important, Jordan, what can get into you again that you might be able to carry that performance into the NCAA tournament?
Really, it's a credit to the guys in the locker room, the coaches, keeping me confident and stuff. We practice shooting all the time. Any one of our guys can catch fire at any time, at any moment. We have a lot of great guys on our team, and I just happen to be the guy that stepped up and hit shots. Any one of us can do that. So, that just happened to be me that night, and, I took advantage of it. I took my spots, and I shot the ball, and I was able to hit.
Hey, Coach, once you hit the NCAA tournament, it's likely on occasion you will be the underdog going into a contest. How does your team react to that situation?
Yeah, I think we've had the good fortune of playing some competitive games against some talented teams. Might not be quite the caliber of the team that we'll face in the first round of the NCAA tournament. But again, I coach a group of guys that have lived for this moment. They've grown up watching your show and watching one shining moment. And, we will have had some time to prepare with our championship game being on Wednesday night. So we'll be focused and locked in on what it'll take. And hopefully we'll play our best on that day.
Coach Langle, first time for this program to be in the tournament since '96. How have you kind of tried to frame that for this current group of players?
Yeah, again, we took a couple of days off after our championship, but we'll focus in on the opportunity at hand. I was fortunate enough as a player and as an assistant coach at Penn and Temple, and our coaching staff as well, to have some of these experiences. So we'll share our perspective based on our experiences as we prepare to play a really good team next week.
And Coach, to Clark's question, I really think that fans don't quite understand how much it means to a university and a community when something like this has happened. You're having this long layoff between when you qualified for the tournament and when the tournament begins. Can you describe for us what it's been like around campus in the sense of what you've gotten from what this means to so many other people?
Yeah, Colgate University is a unique institution. Like you guys said, our undergraduate population is just under 3,000. It's located in a village of Hamilton, New York, with another, 3,000 people. So it's a really small, close-knit community. It's really neat to be a part of a community and a campus all one in the same. So when you have a chance to win like this and be on a winning streak like we have, and have all those games be at home and grow the support and the excitement from the local school and the campus community, it's certainly been something special.
And Jordan, to your perspective, what have things been like for you since you guys clinched this bid?
It's been amazing. The community's been behind us this whole season, even last year, when we started to win. So, it's really a tribute to those people who come out and watch us play and continue to give us energy on the court. It's been amazing walking around the town and people constantly congratulating you whenever, we go into one of our eating places downtown. It's just amazing.
Well, guys, we add our congratulations, too. Coach Matt Langle, Jordan Burns, congratulations. We'll be watching. Good luck in the tournament.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Still to come, the return of Zion Williamson has Duke poised for a Final Four run, but they aren't the only ACC team eyeing a #1 seed tomorrow.
Pass, and now a steal by Zion. And a right-handed rack attack! Zion! High above the rim to rip it down. Just stop it. Stop it. Race it in. Hammer time. Zion leaks out. Rack attack. He can do it all.
Well, Zion Williamson has picked up right where he left off as we take a look at his numbers in the ACC tournament so far. 2 games, 60 points, 26 of 32 from the floor, 25 boards, a couple of double-doubles. This after a 5-game absence. I mentioned to you this game last night. I don't remember seeing a big man so quick and so agile as he appeared to be last night.
I agree with you, and I paraphrase what I read that Coach K said about him. Zion is such that you can't really explain him. You have to experience what he does, and it's remarkable how good he is and how explosive and physically different he is than most players we've seen over the last several years.
One of a kind these days.
He really is one of a kind because he's got that explosiveness in the air. He's got the strength and size to bring great force. And then he's got the quickness. You combine those 3 elements, strength, size, quickness, and explosiveness, and that is really a remarkably unique package.
Well, we saw his stats in the last 2 games. I mean, he did miss 6 shots, so he's maybe a little bit overrated. I actually think it's almost a shame that he's as good of a dunker as he is, because I think if people are missing all the other parts of his game that are extraordinary, his passing, his basketball IQ, his feel for the game, giving all the double teaming and the triple teaming, he's still able to feed his teammates.
He gets steals, he blocks shots.
What he's done on the defensive end, this is the best defensive team Mike Krzyzewski's had in a long time, and we saw once Zion went out how vulnerable Duke was on the defensive end. They almost lost at home to Wake Forest. He erases everybody's mistakes with steals and blocks. And, of course, not only can he steal and block, but he can take that ball out in transition, which is obviously a high percentage shot for him.
Blue Devils a completely different team with him on the floor.
No doubt. I mean, they're a championship caliber team, one of the favorites to win it all with him being healthy, and it looks like he hasn't missed a beat after taking those few weeks off with that knee sprain.
So here's a good question. How do you stop him?
Wow, it's really difficult. I think you've got to try to pressure the ball. I think you can front him, try to front him some, double him. You've got to mix it up and really try to fight him from that sweet low post position, but that's a lot easier for me to talk about.
Sitting here.
And it is.
Comfy chair.
That is. You know, it's funny. People ask me all the time about certain players. Who does he remind you of? Who would you compare him to? And I really don't have anybody to compare Zion to, and I wouldn't really do that to younger players. Sometimes it's a disservice, but he reminds me of game-changing type college players that come along every 15, 20 years or so, and these are some of the guys. This is not an exhaustive list, but when you talk about game-changing type players at the collegiate level who brought something that hadn't been seen before, Wilt Chamberlain's athleticism and size. Oscar Robertson was a 30-point scorer in high school, college, and the pros. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was my idol as a youngster growing up in Cleveland, Ohio, because of his grace and agility and skill at 7'1". Pete Maravich, a marvel, still holds the all-time scoring record for college basketball. Did it in 3 years. And then Magic was the first real tall point guard. He wasn't a ball-handling forward. He was a point guard who was 6'9", which we hadn't seen the likes of. And then this guy, Shaq Diesel. Now, when he showed up in the early 90s, I mean, George McGinnis, a dear friend of mine, coached against the team in high school in AAU ball, and he came back and he told me, he said, Lord, I just saw something that I've not seen. And it was Shaq. He said, I saw the biggest, most mobile, most powerful high school kid I've ever seen, and clearly that was it.
So, so we can call you Log from now on? Is that
if you'd like to? That's one of the monikers that I go by. I'll answer to that.
I will say this about Duke. Obviously, Zion is in a class by himself. This would be, if they win the championship, it will be the worst three-point shooting team to ever win a national championship. They start 4 freshmen, and they have a very hard time not only with outside shooting, but foul shooting. So one way to stop Zion, you're not going to stop him, is to put him on the foul line. And I'll just point out that last night, North Carolina shot horribly from three-point range and still had a shot to win at the end of the game. So I think that Duke is a very good team, obviously, certainly on a short list of national championship favorites, but they have some very real flaws that I'm not sure have been ironed out of the course of the season. They just have to hope that all of their other assets can overcome those
flaws. That can be said for a number of teams.
True.
All right, guys, we'll be back in just a moment to wrap things up. Get you set for tip-off of Wisconsin and Michigan State in the Big Ten semis. The NCAA Selection Committee's work far from wrapping up. The countdown to Selection Sunday continues. Inside College Basketball, presented by Progressive Insurance, is sponsored by Progressive. Get slam dunk savings today. Visit progressive.com. And by Buffalo Wild Wings. Try our game day menu. As we edge ever closer to tip-off, Mr. Everything, Ethan Happ for the Wisconsin Badgers, looking to get back on track after struggling in yesterday's win over Nebraska. Happ leads the Badgers in scoring, rebounding, and assists for the year. For the Spartans, that's senior Matt McQuaid. He's registered double digits in points in 5 of his last 7 games, including yesterday's win over Ohio State. Tracy Wolfson talked to Wisconsin coach Greg Gard earlier. She caught up with Michigan State head coach Tom Izzo a short while ago.
Coach, yesterday we saw Nick Ward return 14 points playing with the cast on his hand. How would you assess how he did out there?
You know, I was pleased with him. You know, we thought we'd get maybe a few more minutes out of him if he wasn't in foul trouble. Probably would have. But to get almost 15 minutes in was great. He actually caught the ball pretty well, made a couple of hooks, and made a jump shot, made a couple free throws. The things that you worry about, he did a very good job. And he hadn't practiced but a couple days in the last almost 4 weeks.
How important will his presence be in today's game, especially with Ethan Happ?
You know, he's guarded Happ before, although Happ had 20 the last time. But that was more the game plan that we had. You know, I think Nick is important because if we get in any foul trouble now, we've got some depth at that position. And when you're going against Happ, you're probably going to get in foul trouble. He's very good with the ball. So I think between Nick and Xavier Tillman, we've got a good combination for him. We just got to make sure we don't worry so much about Happ and they start hitting threes.
So what is the game plan against this Wisconsin team that you know so well? I mean, they don't change much over the years.
No, it's like guard is Bo reincarnated, you know, but the game plan is to not let them hit more threes than us or more shots than us and somehow find a way to win.
Thanks a lot. We look forward to it.
Thank you.
All right, Coach Tracy, thank you much. Now, another champion still to be decided and another participant in the postseason. NCAA, UMBC, and Vermont in the America East Championship.
Not too early to Sharpie Vermont. I'm not going to make the same mistake twice because the Catamounts had revenge on their minds. Lost last year to UMBC on their home floor. Denied an opportunity to get to the NCAA tournament, but they took advantage today. You see Steph Smith cut to the basket for the bucket, and Anthony Lamb has 26 points in the final minutes. Vermont has led wire to wire, and they will be your next team in the NCAA tournament.
All right, as we look ahead to the Big Ten semifinals now, it's not hard to envision another Michigan State-Michigan matchup. What do you see standing in the way of that?
Well, Wisconsin has to make three-point shots. I think that's the key, perimeter shooting, and then rebounding effectively. But that'll be the huge key because they can't overcome what Michigan State throws at them inside and out if they don't shoot the ball well from the perimeter.
Two teams want to play at a different pace. Wisconsin wants to slow the game down. They don't turn it over, so I do think they'll get the game at their pace. I don't think they have enough to beat Michigan State, and I'll be watching Nick Ward, how he progresses, not only for whether they can win today, but whether Michigan State can make a push to Minneapolis, because I think Ward would have to play a big role in that.
All right, guys, we will see you all back here at halftime. Meanwhile, it's number 19 Wisconsin and number 6 Michigan State in the first Big Ten semifinal. That's coming your way here on CBS after this message and a word from your local station.